We're live.
Good evening, everyone. In order to comply with the Center of Disease Control Social Distancing Guideline, the Colleton County School Board of Trustees will meet virtually at 6 o'clock to address essential business on Tuesday, September. The meeting will be live streamed on YouTube live starting at 6 o'clock. I will call to order. Invocation will be by Reverend Jenkins, and we will follow with pledge. I will ask everyone to stand, please.
Let us pray. Most gracious Father, we come today thanking you for another privilege and another opportunity. Thanking you, dear God, as we meet for the final time prior to the opening of school. That God, we ask for a special blessing, a special anointing, just a covering for our children, our staff and administration. Bless them, dear God, during these perilous times that we're in, but we know that you're still able and that you will do what needs to be done to protect each and every one of us. Bless that you blessed us meeting this evening as we come together. Give us a sound mind to be on one accord as we discuss the policies for our school district. We ask these blessings in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. We will now open session with our policy item. Mr. Tyndall.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. If you don't mind, I just want to review first, before I get into the policies, the most recent DHEC disease activity, and I'm just going to focus on us in Colleton County. Currently, as of yesterday, the incidence rate, we are still medium as compared to last week. The percent 100 per 100,000, that number went down slightly again. The training incident rates is low, and most of the counties in South Carolina right now, either low, medium, or several high trends there. And if you look to the percent positive, it is still medium, even though it went up 8%. Okay? And so we're still in a good position when it comes to the current disease activities. Now, let me say this. We can't get comfortable and not continue to practice all of the, follow all of the guidelines and practices, all of the protocols that have been established for us to follow. That's us within the school district. That's us within the county at large as well. I think that if we're going to accomplish this thing and beat it, we all have to be on the same page and follow the same guidelines as have been set forth for us to follow. I do need to mention that last week were the lowest, but McCormick this week came down more than we did, and they had 5.9%. And Saluda, the highest in South Carolina, has 40.6%. That's a high number. I don't think I've seen that high a percentage since I've been viewing this, and we've been doing this almost 2 to 3 months or more now. So I wanted to share that with you because I think that supports a number of things that we are doing and trying to do to make sure that we remain safe by following all of the CDC guidelines, South Carolina DHEC, and the State Department of Education and Clarendon County. So I wanted to say that. The first thing I would ask, Madam Chair, is We revisited we asked the board to revisit a policy that was passed last board meeting. And it's the face covering policy, ADD, okay? And one of the reasons why I'm asking that, we're gonna get back to the other thing there in a second, is because I did have some concerns that were expressed to me that I thought these concerns were legitimate concerns, and it pertained in some part and in a large part to the solid color that we had in the policy as we had approved it. So that's one of the things and one of the reasons for our bringing this back. And the other piece is we want to make sure that things are clear enough that our administrators can properly carry out the policies that the board has approved. And I think that some of the changes that we're bringing back tonight will clarify some of this, make it easier for the administrators to carry the policies out. One of the first things, as we've been directed in previous meetings, that we need to have a motion to suspend the rule for our adopting and considering an emergency policy situation. And tonight, all of the things that we will be considering will either be a temporary policy or a temporary administrative rule. So these are not permanently in place, and at whatever time the board decides that these policies and rules are no longer needed, you can take the action to suspend these policies and rules. But at this time, Madam Chair, we would trust that the chair will entertain a motion to approve suspending the rules for adopting the policy, which normally requires us to have 2 readings, but on this matter, let us have a single reading and approve the policy as presented if you approve it tonight. So we would like to have that, Madam Chair. We'll take care. If you take care of that, we'll proceed with the first policy, face cover.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we suspend the policy of procedures, board review of administrative rules, code BG/BGD, that requires 2 readings of policies to be voted upon.
Second.
Okay. All in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your hand. All opposed? Thank you.
What was the vote, Madam Chair?
We have, Mary, how did you vote?
Hold on a minute.
You were for it?
Yeah.
So we have 1, 2. Okay. So we have 1, 2. Could you do it again? All in favor of it? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, and 1.
1 opposed.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the motion was carried.
Correct.
Let's turn our attention to face covering. And one of the first things I want to do, perhaps before we discuss the policy further, is to just share with you some things that came up. We had a parent who came by the district office a few days ago, and she was concerned about her son having to wear a mask. And she was basically focusing in on sports, having to play sports, wearing a mask. And she stated that if that was the case, and they could not wear a neck gaiter, her sons would not participate in sports. Now, she stated that it was easier to breathe with gaiters, and that she was afraid that her sons would pass out if they had to wear a mask. So that was one concern that came, and that was shared last week, and the person came to the district office. I'll share one administrator's concern that was shared with me as I was visiting that particular school, as I visited schools late last week on Thursday. And this person stated to me that by stating that students cannot wear masks and coverings with patterns, symbols, or words, but allowing any color, and that was solid color, students can still represent their gang by wearing a mask covering based on gang colors. This principal said, considering we are only a few days away from beginning the school year, trying to attain these solid color masks may be not be feasible, and for all parents and students coming into the building. Many mask covering companies, according to this principal, have back orders, and I don't doubt any of that. There's a tremendous demand. As I visited schools, I was real pleased. Our staff members, and that's teachers and all personnel there, were wearing masks at all of the schools. The students who were started week, and that was one of the reasons why I was visiting the schools, to assess how week was going. I noticed the students were wearing colorful masks as they were allowed to. And they had their favorite cartoons and other characters, cartoon characters and whatnot, wearing those. And they were very comfortable in those. And I think that was a great incentive to encourage them to make sure that they don't resist wearing a mask while they're in school, or resist having the parents encourage them to put it on when they're at home. So that I thought that was a good observation. This person who talked to me at the school suggested that we utilize the school board policy JICA, which is the student dress articles and displays, and then focused on these specific guidelines. Bandanas cannot be used as a face mask covering. Mask covering will not be so extreme or inappropriate to the school setting as to disrupt the educational process as determined by the administration. And this person talked to me about mask covering. Masks and coverings will not display emblems related to alcohol, legal or abusive substance, gangs, violence, sex, or obscenities. And this was coming from that particular policy. And so that person had those comments to me when I visited the school, that particular school. Now, what we've done since then is we've convened the senior leadership team, and we sought the service of the school board attorney, Mr. Duffy, to assist us in revising the policy somewhat to make it clearer and maybe more suitable to the liking of the board and the community and the school district at large. So I want to talk about policy ADD, and the first thing I need to tell you is that the things that are in green and red, these were things that were in the policy originally before we convened on Monday to make some noted changes. And those changes are in the color blue. And we sent this out to you all on Monday, hoping that you all have reviewed these changes and policies, and that we can move through them. The first place that I want to bring to your attention is under face covering requirements on the first page of the policy. proposed policy, I should say. Face coverings will not be so extreme or inappropriate to the school setting as to disrupt the educational process as determined by the administration. And you all heard me read something that was shared with me from the policy by the administration of a school. So that's pretty much in line with the policy, the dress code policy. But let me say this, the board may not know this, but the administration, we're not so much concerned about the color being solid or something of that nature. My concern is that we will have students wearing these policies, these masks, that they will be consistent in doing so, and the colors, that's not the big issue. We want to make sure that they wear them so that when the administration needs to address the matter or enforce the matter, it is not a big issue with colors. I think that's mine as far as we are concerned. So I want you to know that. The second line there, under face covering requirements, face coverings will not display the emblems relating to alcohol, legal, illegal, or abusive substance, gangs, violence, sex, and obscenities. That's the same thing that's in our student dress code. So that's in compliance, and we're bringing these things together. They are aligning with each other, if you would notice that. The other items have remained the same there. If you flip to page 2, everything else there are as they were when we finished the policy that you had approved at the last meeting. Madam Chair, members of the board, I'll entertain any questions at this time. I'm going to say any of us from the administration, including Mr. Duffy, if he has, if there's a question of concern that you want him to address.
Madam Chair, I have a question. I heard you speak of a parent who got the child playing sports and wearing masks.
Yes, sir.
What kind of liability we will have by not allowing them to wear the masks? I just wanted to clarify that.
Well, I'm going to let the person who knows more about liabilities than I do, and I'll let him respond to that, Mr. Duffy.
Tell me what you mean by that. Did you say about us not allowing him to wear a mask?
In other words, if we say that they don't have to wear that mask and something happens, who is liable for that?
I'm unaware that we're not saying they don't have to wear a mask.
Okay.
But are you talking about policies, or are you talking about practice?
When they play in sports, they say they didn't want to wear a mask. I heard that wrong.
No, you heard that correct. That's what that mother said, that she would not allow her child to play, her 2 sons to play sports, because if they were required to wear a mask in lieu of wearing a gaiter.
Right, so we will be requiring face covering for athletic activities as well.
The gators are not required. In other words, wearing a mask in lieu of the gators. Is that what the question was? So, can they legally wear a gaiter now and be in compliance?
Let me mention this. I contacted the South Carolina High School League Commissioner, Mr. Jerome Singleton. And when I spoke to him, he thought initially, he said, he thought that the gators were not allowed. Okay? And then he wasn't real sure. So I asked him if he would look into it and call me back, because I thought he had included that in some language he had sent to athletic directors and others. So he ended up calling me back and said that in his research, there's no prohibition to student athletes wearing gators. And I had that in an email from him, direct from him, as right following our meeting on working on the face covering policy and the other policies that we have with you tonight.
Would it be legal now for our players to wear gaiters, or it's okay? So that parents should have no problem there.
Neck gaiters, as we all know them, are within the definition of face covering, so they would be appropriate.
Okay.
But that would only be for those activities of outside sports and color guard and stuff, that sort of stuff, considered an activity, not within the school itself.
Within the school too, it's in the definition of face covering, so it carries the same weight as a mask.
That's what I want a clarification for, make sure it was allowed in school as well as during those activities.
Yes, sir.
If I could just read exactly, because I think it would be helpful for those watching to know that the policy that we're considering right now means it has to be a uniform piece of fabric, cloth, or other material that fully and securely covers the wearer's nose, mouth, and chin simultaneously. So as all of us have something that covers our nose, mouth, and chin, so would anything at any point for any staff or student on school grounds.
Right. And let me just say this, things are constantly changing. When I spoke yesterday, as we were doing a video for the convocation this week, one of the things that I've said that over the past 5 months, as I was speaking there, that the one thing that we have learned is that COVID-19, there are constant changes coming out from various groups. And so as things are now, I think we're in good shape with this policy. Madam Chair, if there aren't any other questions, the administration would ask that the board accept this policy as presented tonight.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that upon the recommendation of the administration, we accept policy ADD as presented to the board on 9/1/2020.
Second.
If all in favor, please say
On the point of discussion, please, if I may we state that as a temporary policy?
it is.
Okay, thank you.
It is temporary, right?
Okay, and all in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Unanimous, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. The next policy is one that we had tabled because we wanted to have some additional information to determine where does this policy apply, who did it apply to, as we were thinking about the virtual instruction. I contacted Ms. Darlene O'Brien with the South Carolina School Boards Association, who is one of the policy people there. And when I initially spoke to her, I don't think that she had interpreted things the way that I thought she had. So I communicated back with her, and I said, let me explain this further to you. And when I did, I think it was made clear to her that we are operating both blended and virtual, okay? And because this policy right here applies more, well, exclusively to virtual students, even the ones who've already signed up for virtual. And so we did not change anything on this policy because everything that's colored here were the things that you had approved, that had already been presented to you at the time when the policy was tabled. So we're bringing it back to you to ask the board to approve this policy as the committee, that's the policy committee, had made changes there. And let me just tell you, she said to me that it does apply to our parents and students who are virtually being instructed at this time. or will be.
And it is another temporary policy.
It's a temporary administrative rule versus a policy.
Correct. Can I have a motion, please?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Need a motion first.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt this administrative rules for opt-out on on-site instructions.
Second.
IHA-R, Model 20. Do I get a second?
Second.
Any questions?
Mr. Tindall, this is a administrative rule for opt-out of on-site instruction, and it comes with a form the parents have to sign. Because this is for virtual students, how are we going to get this form to our our virtual student parents?
Well, I think we need to have multiple means of making the form accessible, and I think we need to put it out through Dojo or whomever we want to put it out there and let those parents not have to come in to sign. But if there are parents who don't have access and they don't get it, we will have some here at the district office in all of the schools if they want to go to their schools to sign this form. I didn't find it controversial, and the folks who have decided to be virtual, they've been very forthright in saying that that's what they want to do. So I'm not seeing that as being a big issue if we have various means of getting it out there. And we probably can also put it somewhere where there's a link on the website that they might be able to go to as well.
Thank you.
All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't think that we have anything else on this agenda here.
The opt-out form is actually listed separately, so
The opt-out form is listed separately, and that's what the discussion was just about. And Madam Chair, if you can get the board to entertain a motion.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we accept the on-site instruction opt-out form, file as presented, IHA-E.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Unanimous. Thank you. If we have nothing else for tonight, it will be my pleasure. Is there anything else?
Yes, ma'am. Superintendent information from Mr. Tindall, okay?
Oh, right, Mr. Tindall, because I am just so excited about just adjourning tonight. I can't help myself.
And I'll get through these things very quickly because I'm excited as well. Just want to share a few things with your information. The district has held 4 virtual public information forums today. Next Monday is Labor Day, so there will not be a forum. I did not publicly announce that yesterday because it slipped me by doing. A lot of times I prefer to make my announcements at the beginning because I get so involved in things until at the end. You know, sometimes those things slip me, and I'm saying that to just further provide you some information. But the next public information forum will be Monday, September 14th at 3 p.m. And I'm saying to the public and to you all, if you have any questions, please submit them to publicinput@colletonk12sc.us. And we need those by Friday, September the 11th. And that's for everyone's information. Today I had a interview with Octavia Mitchell from TV Channel 2. And she had questions of me regarding things that we're doing, and that we will be doing for reopening school. on Tuesday, September 8th. And at the end, she told me that it will be broadcast on Tuesday, September 8th during their morning news section. So if you're interested, you can look at it. I tried not to answer anything that was not asked. I tried not to be there too long. You know, one of the questions, and I'm sure Mr. Gruber is familiar with this, most reporters, whether or not they're TV or other forms of media, when you get through, they always ask you if you have anything else, and that can get you in a lot of trouble. So I try to stay away from not answering anything I don't need to answer that they didn't ask. I told her, I said, I think you asked all the questions that you needed to ask about the reopening. I want to remind all of the board members, Friday, September the 4th at 8:30, here at the office, I'm expecting Mr. Jenkins, Mrs. Jones, and Ms. Simmons to be here, and we will start our tour of schools. And Ms. Strobel, once we get that put together, can we send them so they'll know where we're starting at? And we are planning a lunch break if we've not finished, so that and we'll work that out where we're at, and we'll have it here in the district, okay, at this office. Tuesday, September 8th at 8:30, Mr. Mabry, Mr. Murdoch, two men out front. We will be leaving at 8:30 from here, and we'll be visiting schools in the like manner that we will do on the 4th. The difference that day is you will likely see students who are in person in classes. We've asked the principals to take us to virtual classes where instruction will be going on virtually, as well as in-person classes as well. So you get a perspective of what's going on in the classroom. And then also, we're going to take you to the isolation room, where each of the schools have identified an isolation room. So if we have a case or a situation where we need to get someone out of a classroom, be it a teacher or a student, we have an area where we can take them to, and we can hold them there under the supervision of the nurse until such time that someone can come to pick them up and take care of them in a manner of that nature. So those are some of the things, and then I would say that you also will have access to the barriers and things of that nature that we put in the schools, the directional arrows, and where we have 6 foot or 6 feet pads at to kind of help the students and others identify the distance of the idea of social distancing. So I think you will see some good, very positive things, and I think the reporter asked me about some of those things this morning as well. The last thing I will tell you is I don't like going to meetings, and I'm going, but I'm not lodging. The Superintendent's Association is having a 2-day symposium, and because things are happening so fast, and they have some good folks there, Dr. Traxler, who I'm going to ask him about some other things, and maybe someone would beat me to asking him, because I want to follow up, because he's had some information out about face masks and sanitizers and things of that nature, and he's with THEC. So I'll be attending that session, and certainly hope to have some questions to ask of him. And then we'll have a report on the revenue projections from the Department of Revenue. And I certainly have been saying some things and sending some information out to some individuals within the district pertaining to our need to gather what the revenue projections are looking like. And we've heard some things on the news of the surplus. I don't have any idea where and how the General Assembly will deal with that. You know, in tough times, people try to hold funds, even if it's surplus, but a surplus is a savings. And sometimes you want to hold the savings for things that you've not anticipated that may occur, and those things that can occur. So hopefully we'll get some information from the Department of Revenue on those things as well. And there's some other matters that will be discussed by the Department of Education the next day. State Superintendent and her staff will be presenting, but I will not be staying overnight. I'll be commuting back and forth. Madam Chair, members of the board, that's everything that we have to bring before you tonight. If you have any additional questions, please don't hesitate to ask, but it sounds like everyone's ready to get out of here. And if you want to ask individual questions, we'll be here for a minute to take those questions.
But before we dismiss, Madam Chairman, I just have two questions. One, the school board approved face-to-face instruction for students, correct? An option for
Yes, sir.
face-to-face. In the blended portion, they would be face-to-face on Monday, Tuesday, they'd be off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and be.
Well, we will have some students who are in the 8A section. They'll be Mondays and Tuesdays. The other 3 days, they will be virtual.
Okay.
You
And
understand?
yes,
And the B will work the same way. But they'll have their virtual days Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and they will be in person on Thursday and Friday.
so we will actually have teachers in front of students, AA, BB.
That's what my expectations are.
Is that what the board approved?
That's what, I'm not sure if the board approved that, but when you approved it, that's what I'm expecting, and that's what I'm gonna hold people accountable to.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
And you said we're going to meet you on Friday here at
8:30 o'clock.
Yes.
I'm not gonna have, let me make this clear, I'm not gonna have breakfast, so come already have breakfast, we're gonna provide lunch. And let me say this, at any other point in time, you want to visit schools, whether you're an individual or a pair or not more than 3 now, at any given time, you know, I will make myself available. As I was visiting schools, and I'll say this and I'm going to quit, the teachers thanked me for coming around, the principals did as well. And that's how I tend to operate. I feel better if I'm in the schools, seeing things myself versus someone telling me and then entertaining and talking with teachers one-on-one so that they're not afraid to tell me things that I need to look into. So, yes, ma'am, thank you very much.
my pleasure.
Madam Chair,
I would like to entertain a motion
I'd like to-
to adjourn.
I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn.
Second,
Second.
all in favor, signify. It's my pleasure to say good night.